today. And one of the legends we have, in fact, we have three legends today. Of course, we have Keith Smith.
No, I don't fall in that category.
Of course, we have Jonas Smith.
That she does.
Of course, we have Quentin Beckham.
He does.
Really, I was referring to Liza the dog as the best legend. I got some zingers here. I was gone a day and I missed my friends.
I got to tell you, she was so excited to see me.
She loves you guys.
I think
Well, I mean, Keith
I'm shutting my hearing aids off. I don't want to hear this.
Keith has turned dog treats into a meal the 3 times he comes here.
Speaking
And when
of-
Yona came, he goes, Keith, you have one treat to ration.
That's it. That's it.
We have 3 of our favorite people in the world here on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Judah Wickower's in the house as well. We're going to have a good time. Keith is looking sharp. Quentin Beckham was giving us fashion tips. I mean, it's a beautiful morning. Not
I
only
think tips
and
might be an
mammoth.
exaggeration.
Well, I didn't know what you had to say. Is it Mammoth?
Mammoth.
Mammoth.
M-A-M-M-U-T.
It looks fantastic.
Mammoth.
It's one of his favorite brands is Mammoth.
This is very true.
So,
And it looks really sharp on you.
let's not
Thank
get,
you.
let's get carried
Absolutely.
away.
Well, they're about to see.
Absolutely.
They're about to see with the benevolent dictator Quentin Beckham
I
here.
was actually thinking about that this morning, the benevolent dictator.
It's a very kind term, very applicable.
Really? Anything with the word dictator in it is not kind.
Well, and QB. QB is a good one too. The quarterback, the Keller Williams quarterback.
Quarterback,
Yeah.
or it's been used in other connotations, but
Oh, do you want to share? That's for a different show?
that's a different show.
Okay. That's
We
a
don't have a
different
different
You know,
show.
we only have part of our rules is no divisive politics, pointing fingers, and have fun. So go for it, Mr. Beckham.
We will do it when the cameras
Say
go
what you
on.
want to say.
Oh, I always say what I want to say.
That goes without question.
There are also things
Good.
I don't want to say.
Got it.
Yeah.
The market is picking up around these parts, guys. Keith Smith will tell you how. A lot we're going to cover when the cameras go on the Friday edition of Real Talk. You guys ready to rock and roll?
Sure thing.
All right, I cannot wait. Judah, we're in your hands. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith on a gorgeous day to be above the mud. The show is presented by Keller Williams Alliance, a name you can count on, Keller Williams Alliance. And yes, Realty Partners, the Friday edition means Lessons with the Legends, where the distinguished gentleman himself puts roundtables of just talented and genius people together. And I think we have that today. No pressure. On that note, Judah Wickower, let's go to the studio camera. Judah's our director, and let's welcome the legends themselves. We're going to start with our favorite legend, Jonas Smith. These legends are pretty cool too, but Yona's by far
as
our
I was
favorite.
riding on my-
Can Yona talk? I want to
No.
say hi to Yona, please. Good morning, Yona.
Good to see you.
It's great
Good
to see you,
you
Yona.
guys. Thank you for
Gone for one day, and I
Thank
lose all control.
I love Yona so much. Okay, sorry, Keith. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to shut up. I'll shut up.
How are you doing, my friends?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
As always.
great to see
Phenomenal
you.
Friday. It's good to see you.
An FF, Phenomenal Friday. Got to be careful with that.
Absolutely, yeah. Just
Well, Phenomenal Friday. Phenomenal. Doesn't that start with P?
PH. We can
Yeah,
turn this
PH.
into F.
That's a
In
PH.
Keith brain, it starts with an F.
You're looking quite dapper, my friend.
Thank you. It might have been
Quite distinguished.
It might have been the hair products I stole from you.
You look good. You look good. Did you get some pomade in there too?
I got the pomade first, but I ran out of whatever. We're going to move on.
Oh,
It's
boy.
terrifying we use the same recipe over here. Pomade first and then Tresemme number 4. This gentleman, I think, just goes Tresemme number 4, and he's always looking fly. His name is Quentin Beckham.
I have no idea what it is, but one of the advantages of being me is that there's nobody else in my household. I have
So
people
much
try to
easier.
fix me up. They want me to be in a relationship, and I'm like, but do you know how long a bottle of shampoo lasts me now?
How long does it last you?
Oh, it's like 6 weeks. Like,
Okay.
why would I give that up?
Good for
And it
you.
also helps when you're the boss. You know, you can kind of make
The
your own
only
rules.
place I'm the boss
In
is
charge.
at home because there's nobody else there.
You're in charge.
All
You're
of
in
this
charge.
talk, like I say things and people do them. That's a myth.
That is not true, by the way. What is the exact title with Keller Williams? Do we have a title for this man?
Yeah, whatever.
What
It's
is the
what-
title? Is it head honcho? Is that what we call it?
I don't know. I'm sure I get called many things, but to say there's a title, yeah, I don't know.
So it's funny, on my bike ride this morning, I was just thinking, Jerry, I've got to be extra careful today. I've got my supervising broker
Yeah.
and my managing broker sitting here, so I can't.
You got some heavy hitters
I
here.
can't go too sideways
Well, and we also have Donna Patton watching the program.
Oh, great.
And we
Morning,
fear
Donna.
Donna Patton more than we do maybe QB and Jonas Smith over here.
The truth is sometimes you just come up with the most outrageous shit that it really takes all three of us.
Are you talking
Just
about
to
me?
make sure.
You're
Yes,
talking
I'm
about me.
completely talking about you.
Occasionally I get the text messages, reel in Smith during the show.
Did you literally go to the S word? I mean, you went to shit, huh?
You said I could say what I wanted.
Yeah,
Go.
me and my, see, there you go. Me and
Good
my
morning,
big, me and my
Donna.
big mouth.
Good morning, Donna. Welcome.
So look, we've titled the series every once in a while. We're going to bring in lessons from legends, right? And you two folks clearly classify as legends. And I kind of threw out a question to you two guys prior to the show. We can start off with that, and then I've got some interesting data I want to share over the last 7 days on sales on it. And the reason I want to do that was these contracts were written since the interest rates jumped up, and we'll take a look at that. But what I threw out there, and we'll let whoever wants to jump in, what's the three things, I mean, we've all been in the business for a while, what's the three things that surprise you most about the real estate business, Quentin? What three?
Ladies first.
Ladies first, okay.
Thank you. I have to tell you, it's an evolving journey. It's not something that you can say you learned enough and now you're done. I think it's a journey of really trying to figure out how to best build relationships on many different levels, and it's fun to kind of figure out really how you can best serve, not sell, but serve, and trying to really meet the needs of not just your clients, but also your friends and neighbors in the community, and how to really strengthen that bond. So we always said, Keith and I, we always said that we are relationship builders first, to build the trusted relationship. And we've been doing this for I don't know how many years.
37.
Close to it. And it hasn't changed. It has evolved over the years, obviously, where we learned what works and what doesn't work. And it's like I said, it's an ongoing journey that I really truly enjoy every day, and I'm grateful for that I can do it.
And you're good at it.
Well,
Excellent at it.
I always say I'm work in progress. Always.
She does do that. I say, "How you doing today?" I mean, I always give Yona compliments during the day, and she goes, "I'm a work in progress." But I
Work in
figured what was
progress.
going to come out of your mouth, what's going to come out of Smith's mouth, Keith's mouth, what's going to come out of Keith's mouth, what's going to come out of Keith's mouth, as the three surprises. Quentin, what? I mean, you've been at this for a while. What surprises you the most about this business?
Well, I think piggybacking on some of what she was saying is how little of it actually is about sales.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we talk all the time about having a trusted counselor, and that links up to some of your conversation about relationships. Because if you're truly going to give counsel to people and them consider it, they have to know you and respect you and believe that you have their best interests at heart. And that requires building a relationship and a good reputation for that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, when we got into this back in 87, my biggest surprise, really none of what we do is about sales. Whatever somebody would consider a traditional sales, it's all about building relationships on that stuff. But Jerry, you've been around this for a while. What do you think about this business is most surprising to you?
He probably is surprised that people like us succeed at it.
No. I see why you guys succeed. What surprises me, and I've had the pleasure, and I sincerely mean this, is learning from you guys. I mean, it's been truly a pleasure to do this. I've learned so much from the three of you guys. What surprises me is how folks that get in the game, as they're getting into the game, how they may initially think it's an easy road.
Yeah.
And this is extremely challenging. And one thing I've learned from you guys is you need a year, maybe a year and a half of runway to do this successfully, because it's going to be a while. Even if you sell a house out of the gate, you're not going to get that commission check for 45, 60, 90 days. It surprises me of how many folks think that this is an easy game to get into, but really it's the opposite. Even in good times, there's challenges that arise.
It's a craft.
It's a craft.
It's a craft. Like you have your craft, and like you have to be patient with yourself to go ahead and develop that and really find the path. And sometimes the other thing that I do find very interesting and absolutely inspiring is the fact you just never really know I mean, there's certain things that you can try to go ahead and kind of pre-plan, but it's also you have to be willing to kind of deal with the unexpected. And how do you adjust? How do you figure this out? Not just for yourself, but for the person you're dealing with. And like this is, I always try to look at it as a positive challenge, even if there's stumbling blocks or speed bumps along the way, and you're asking yourself, "Are you serious that this is really happening? This is happening for a reason." So I try to go ahead and, as much as I possibly can, make it a positive experience, a learning experience. I think for everybody.
And I think there's something to emphasize, and I'll get out of your way. The experience at this table collectively, what do we got here? We got 13 plus 22 is 35 for you. 35 for you, that's 70 combined for you. How long have you been here doing this?
In this area, we're going on.
In
We're
totality.
just about to start 11 years.
Yeah, but you did it in California.
Yeah, that was a decade. So
I mean, so
what is
you're
that,
talking
21?
close to a century of experience here at this table.
But I get a little weighted. I get a little negative number.
Literally close to 100 years of total experience with these people. They have seen the stuff that arises. Where like someone that, and I'm not knocking anyone that's newer to the game, they may not have the breadth of experience of seeing stuff that you guys have. And that is invaluable.
So that's an interesting segue into it, because I took a look at, I take a look at these 7-day snippets, right? And so the last 7 days we had 90 homes close in the car footprint. These are, this is everything within the car footprint. And these were contracts. I took a look at what the contract dates on them. They're all June contracts. So these are, late. There's a couple of late Mays, but most of them are in June. So there was 90 units sold. They were 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1,800 square feet, 1,900 square feet, 5 days on market. The median, did I do good?
You did wonderful.
Thank you.
Good job.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you.
I struggle with that.
I'm so proud of you.
Median, somebody's going to make me say realtor later,
Realtor.
$416,000. So the market isn't slowing down. The interest rates have not slowed. I mean, that's 90 homes in 5 days closed that were in the system. Since the interest rates, and I got a month by month interest rates back in June, we were north of 6.75, between 6.75 and 6% rates on that end of it. So, the market is still moving, and I think so. Would you agree or disagree with that, Mr.
Quinn, back.
I agree that the market is still moving. I disagree that the market is not slowing down.
Normalizing.
Yeah.
I would say seasonal
Okay,
adjustment.
that's another word you
Would
can
that-
try to use.
Would that, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's, because I think if we're
I mean, the inventory
slowing down,
think-
we felt the slowdown. And again, you have seen this probably differently, or maybe the same also. Slowing down really when everything came to a screeching halt was in 2007, 2008. I mean, it was just from one day to the next. It literally was, and nobody was really expecting it. I think at this particular moment, I think we're far more informed and far more prepared in a sense that we know a normalizing market is coming. We just have to be, watchful and prepared for it.
So what I was trying to say, Quentin, is the bubble hasn't popped, right? We haven't done the 2008. Everything hasn't fell off.
Yeah.
Fell
The
off
cliff.
the edge.
We haven't
I've been
fallen off the
saying on
cliff
the
yet.
show that we're deceleration, right? We're in a deceleration.
Inventory is staying active longer, and it's coming on at a less greater clip.
Well, I don't believe there is a bubble to pop.
Exactly.
I would
There is
agree
no
with
bubble.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 5
I
days
feel
on.
like there was a scene from The Matrix. There is no spoon.
Take which color pill did you take?
Red, obviously.
Depends on the time of the day.
Right.
And we'll leave it at that.
I have a big jar of them on my desk.
I need to watch that movie. I haven't
So,
watched it yet.
I guess my point is in 5 days on market, the inventory is still being sold. And we can't get into details, but we just sold a home yesterday, 5 days on market, a little north of $400,000 in the urban ring. A shout out to Emily Funk. It was our first listing. I co-listed.
We love
it
you,
with
Emily
her.
Funk.
And she was like 10 feet off the ground, so it was exciting to
That's the exciting
to see
part to see.
little Miss Emily make her first sale, and it's exciting to help her mentor and coach her through through that process, which was what I love doing. That's really what I love about this business, is helping other people achieve their goals and creation. So the point I was trying to make is, even at 5.75, nearly 6%, homes are selling and closing.
But will we not, and help me learn here, and Quentin, maybe this is for you, won't we see the true impact of the rates in like the next 30 to 45 days? Because these rates, the homes that you're talking about likely went pending, what?
That's what I'm looking at. They
45, 60 ago?
No, so I'm looking at them. They're averaging to early June.
Okay.
So 30, 45
So you're
days
talking about
ago.
45 days.
And so in June,
Rates have gone up considerably in 45 days. If
June-
that was a lock and shop 45 days ago, they may have protected their exposure by locking in that rate. I think we'll truly see the impact of rates perhaps this, I don't know. You guys, I learned from you guys, but it seems like in the last 45 days, we've really seen a point and change of increase there.
you'll see it in 30, 60 days, but the point is most of these contracts were written when interest rates were north of 5.5%. So they went under contract, and I'm looking at the dates here, so on that. So it has some impact in it, on that end of it.
What do you think, Mr. Beckham?
I think it gets complicated because everything that has happened for the last 2.5 years and that is coming has very little to do with the actual real estate market. It has to do with everything that surrounds the real estate market, which is very different from the time of great unpleasantness, where everything that went on had to do with the real estate market. So I think the position is very different. As a point of fact, probably another 75 basis points at the next Fed meeting. There's a 50-50 chance it'll be 100.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
That's true. And I don't know that that's going to change any of the equations about it still making more sense to buy a house if you can buy a house. And if you go back through time, we sold houses at 13%, 8%, 6%. 4 to 5% is more our normal average since about the 80s. So this is a normalization in that respect. And the only real key difference that we have not experienced before to this degree is how low the inventory is.
Correct.
And so that's going to really hold the values. And nothing about the change in the inventory, the home value, or the mortgage rates are going to stop people from having to move and needing to sell and buy a house. It's not going to change it.
Mike King is watching from ESPN Radio in Richmond. Mike, you're a hell of a talk show host on the radio dial. Thank you for watching the program today. We have comments coming in already, but Jamie Turner, hello, welcome to the show. Before we get to the comments, anything you want to add to what he said? And then I'll go to Neil Williamson.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been saying this on Real Talk with Keith Smith for quite a while, right? Inventory, we actually went through a point that we were banning the word inventory, but inventory is starting to creep up a little.
Availability of homes.
Creep up a little.
Home availability.
Home availability.
We're allowed to say the S word, but we can't say the I word.
Right.
It's only on the I Love Steville network is that allowed.
There's some government
Only
agent
on the
that banned a word from his staff using it. You may
You can say profanities here, but you can't use the I word.
Isn't that profanity also?
Evidently, the I word is the worst kind of profanity.
Remember,
They need something to sell.
We
They need something to sell.
Yeah. Well, we need something to help people buy.
Yeah.
I don't know all that stuff. But why don't you jump into the feed so I can get myself out of trouble here?
Let's start with the king of content, Neil Williamson.
Oh, hey.
Watching the program here.
Good morning, Neil.
This is an important one. He says, while experience is important, present company included, is there any reason for concern or trepidation with the increasing median age of agents and the car footprint? I'll add to this. Can I add to this? Okay.
Sure.
So 2008, 2009, 2010, we saw the trades and the small builder disappear,
Yeah.
because of the real estate recession. Tradespeople and small builders disappeared. We're feeling the ramifications of that now. This market we know is going to be tight. You guys are going to pick up, I'm going to straight up say this. Yes Realty Partners and Keller Williams Alliance are going to pick up market share. They're seasoned pros and they know what they're doing. Yes Realty Partners and Keller Williams Alliance. That means some agents will be, I'll cut to the chase, you guys aren't saying this, I'm saying this, probably eroded from the picture here. Those will likely be the more inexperienced, younger ones. Are we on the cusp of seeing what we saw with the trades and the small builders, with realtors because of this crisis? Will it be an older agent that gets the business and then the younger agent gets eroded from the sales cycle? And then when the market returns, they're not there to pick up the business, leaving the agents much older when we're out of this?
It could be the opposite too. It could be a lot of folks that just now is time to retire. Now is time to get out of the business, and it could fill up on the back end. You know, I'll just say this: we need more younger agents in the marketplace. When the buyer profile for the foreseeable future is going to be millennials by leaps and bounds, by multiple times. There needs to be younger people in the business. It's one of the things Yonah and I, and I think Quentin, love to do. We love to help coach and mentor younger agents to come in here and learn from at least these two legends over here on how to navigate this job and how to take care of their clients. So I think you're going to see a balance. But look, Jerry, it's look. Yonah and I lived through this, right? We lost, everybody knows what our story is here, that Liz is in Washington. You're 100% right. It was a vacuum out. There will be some settling of agents around that way, but there's also going to be some more coming in that just will learn new skills.
William Clark, thank you for sharing the feed. I believe you're watching in the Lynchburg area. What are your thoughts on this? Because one thing I've noticed with Keller Williams Alliance, and I'm going to give you some props, and it's not just because you guys are sitting next to me, is you've done a good job of getting younger people. You have Carrie Griggs comes to mind, Kara Bass comes to mind. You have some youth on the roster. There's not a lot of firms, and love all firms here, pro market guy, positive guy. There's not a lot of firms with the youth that you have on the roster.
I'm wondering if we've answered Neil's question. Neil, are you just saying that we're old and getting older?
Pretty much, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's what he's saying. And he's right, Carr is old.
That is not unique amongst realtor populations.
I just wanted to say it's not
Nationwide.
It's nationwide, yeah.
Nationwide, the mean age of realtors has come down in the last 3 to 5 years. There is some debate as to whether that has to do with really old realtors just dying, and so the bell curve shrunk, or new people coming in. And I'm not sure we know that very clearly. In Keller Williams Alliance and Keller Williams offices across the country, we have an enormous focus on new agents, on training, on putting them through school, setting them up in teams so that they have somebody to really help mentor and grow them. And I think that process contributes a lot to our ability to bring in younger, newer agents.
The brand Keller Williams is a young brand.
Oh.
It's a technology young brand. It's a technology-driven brand.
They've been around since the 80s. Although
You're hip, that brand.
I think it's being.
It's the shirt. It's the shirt.
It's because I was at the Latin dance party.
There you go. That's it.
Till what? Midnight, right?
Yeah.
12:15.
12, boy.
Oh, did you turn into a pumpkin?
12:15. I turned into something. I'm not sure it was a pumpkin.
What were you saying, Yonah?
Well, I think coming back to, and that goes back to the craft, right? I find it at any age. It doesn't make a difference if you're young, middle-aged, old age, or whatever. I think it's always a nice challenge to go ahead and start a new career. And I just look at our most recent edition, Emily, just making this transition to say, okay, I'm ready to jump in, and I'm ready to do this. So I think the passion goes along with, I think what Quentin says is that we are really focusing on making sure that these folks, whoever come into the market, are properly trained and they have a support system.
Yeah.
And Keller Williams does have, on the technology side of it, I think what you're describing as being hip, I think they have kept with what needs
Your
to be done,
trendsetters.
the trendsetters.
Yeah.
So I think that may be a better word. The craft itself takes time, and some of the newer agents or younger agents at that time, I think what they have to learn is the fact, like we had to learn, is patience and consistency and sticking with it. And this is not an immediate kind of text message scenario or action that you can anticipate that this is going to happen in a minute. So I think that's probably more of a challenge for anybody newer or younger coming in. The expectations are just a little bit different, and I think we need to retrain that.
Well, an example of that is, and without doing details, on the way in this morning, Yona and I drove in together to come into the show, and for the day, there's a client I've been working with for a year, right? And I got a text, hey, they all of a sudden now want to put
you
an offer on
understand
house. So
why.
this was a year of
it takes time.
conversation, a year of coaching,
Yeah.
and a year of mentoring, really, the client on
And
that.
searching.
And
searching.
searching,
And
exactly.
searching.
Searching.
Year of work.
And sticking
doing our job.
with,
Yeah.
sticking
Doing
with
our
it.
job,
And
and some folks that come into this don't quite understand that.
You should characterize that sales cycle for the viewers and listeners. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not a short sales cycle.
That is not a short sales
But not
cycle.
unusual. Not unusual.
But that's just normal. And,
Right.
And,
It's
and
not
we-
unusual.
You and I were having a debate last week about, this feels more like the 1819 market because of that, because this isn't going to happen quickly. It's also.
You were selling real estate in 1819?
2018, 2019.
Oh, sorry.
I initially
along,
thought
along
that as
with
well.
Tim McGraw and Faith Hill.
Okay.
Isn't that the series? The Netflix series?
I'm old, but I'm not that old, Mr. Beck.
Do you believe it's like 2018, 2019? Quentin?
No, I don't think that's what we're moving into when I think of the total market. But I think for as long as I've been in real estate, as long as I've been around real estate, most clients are not people you meet on Monday and you write a contract on Friday.
Yep.
That is not how
Very
it works.
unusual. Yep.
And so I know when we talk a lot about what do real estate agents make, you made this much money off the sale of my house. Yes, and not counting the 100 to 300 hours a year you have to spend to stay up on things, because one of my surprises is how much, when I think I've learned everything, I have to learn a whole new thing.
Oh, my God.
Because whatever you needed to know 10 years ago is only about 40% of what you need to know today.
Relevant, yeah.
Or the state changes the rules on you.
State changes the rules, the market changes, housing changes, suddenly there's internet, everything changes. But there's a lot of invested time in every client. There's a lot of invested time with other agents making deals happen. There's a lot of stuff that happens that individual clients may not see. And you're having to hope that it all moves to the end of a transaction, because most clients, you've invested several hundred hours in getting to that closing table.
Good take.
And I want to go back to age for a second. I think there's three reasons, Neil, that we have an older population, and I also think it's beginning to pivot. The first reason is that we have a history in real estate that you had to be old and white and male and have some money, and that's how you got into real estate.
Brokerage or agent?
Just if you go back in time,
Certainly brokerage.
if you go back in time, the National Association of Realtors was a small group that was designed to create cooperation, but also raise some fences and some barriers. And they've spent lots of time undoing that, sometimes being forced, and more recently just acknowledging that, hey, we have to do better at this. And so I think that's starting to have some pivot. I think the second reason is these are frequently second careers nowadays. These are almost always people that did something else. They're tired of it. They can retire out of it. They want to do another thing. They get fooled into believing that there's flexibility in real estate, and so they join. If they survive the cold splash of water, that it is much less flexible than you think, and they really enjoy the process and building those relationships, they survive. And I think the third reason is a lot of real estate agents do not, and I really found this year because we held a whole course on this and brought somebody in, most real estate agents don't know how to plan their own retirement.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're really good at making money, but then they don't know what to do with it. And so they make money, they pay bills, they take trips, they take a break, and then their account starts to shrink and they have to go make money again. And so you do have people that are 65 and up that still need to work because there's not a retirement plan unless you make one,
Or health insurance.
or health insurance.
Well,
That's changing, right?
the state just changed
At the VAR level. Is Denise
Yeah,
leading that charge?
But that's
Oh,
gonna
the
take another.
association
Yeah.
led that charge.
It's gonna
So
take
at the
another
state
year.
level, the quick synopsis on that is the state is now allowing us to create a group, right? and
Collective bargaining.
Well, that's
Well, we're gonna.
It's not collective bargaining.
Is that union?
no.
Yeah.
No?
No, it's just being recognized as a group the way a business would be. And so we still have to go get a qualified plan. We still have to move regulations through the Board of
So
Insurance.
bulk purchase discount, is that a better description?
Well, that's the whole point of a group plan,
Yeah.
is that you're moderating risk by upping the numbers.
So
Or
while,
equalizing
before
the
Neil
risk.
jumps off and actually gets some work, I do want to ask him to drop something in the feed for me. I put a post on my Facebook page and Carr's Facebook page. There is a survey that Albemarle County is
Quinn
doing.
Beckham.
Oh, you already put it on there?
It's already on.
Look, okay. Thank you, Neil.
So I want to give a little background on the survey here, and then I'll get out of your way
Sure.
here. So there's a survey circulating. Quentin Beckham has shared it in the comments section. I saw Neil share it as well. This is a survey about the designated growth area in Albemarle County. The interesting statistic that struck me from that survey is there's still 25% available density to go after in the current 5% of Albemarle County. Did you see that?
I did. I actually took the survey this morning. It took me 15 minutes, and it's part of the Albemarle County's comprehensive plan rewrite. This is a big thing, but this is a super important survey to take. And some people think that you have to be an Albemarle County resident to do that. That is not true, right? It's open to anybody who actually connects into it, but. We live in Fluvanna County. We took it, but this is an important survey because it's going to give a litmus test or a little bit of outside of the box thinking to decision makers. What struck me on this, and a shout out to, I know Jim Duncan doesn't do Facebook.
I'll tag him on Twitter.
But tag on, but this came from a feed that Jim Duncan and I were going back and forth on this end of it. But according to Daily Progress, as of last Wednesday, only 119 people did that. So that is.
And the likelihood of those 119, I would bet you the large majority are NIMBYs in Albemarle County.
Oh, no. I actually read you actually can read.
You see the results?
See the results.
And what is it?
It's pretty much split down the middle.
Oh, it's 50-50?
It's pretty much
Okay.
split down the middle. It's
Between NIMBYs and YIMBYs?
It's exactly right. It's
Okay.
split between NIMBYs and, I didn't count the exact number, but it's awfully close, and the reporting from the Daily Progress also kind of stipulated it's down the middle. I think what was shocking to me was 119 people only chimed in on something that in
It's
our,
important.
Jerry, what's our footprint? What, 250,000?
I'd say when you include all of Central Virginia, you're probably just over 300K.
Yeah.
All of Central Virginia.
Yeah, so please take it. It matters, particularly the real estate agents that are watching this.
Need to be.
It directly impacts what we do for a living.
It's anonymous. It requires no personal information. If they read my comments, they'll know it was me.
This is one question I've had for you guys, and I've asked this question before. I'm curious of your take on this. Why is there not, you guys are so critically important to the economy in Central Virginia, and I'm talking realtors in totality. Why is there not, who can think of the last realtor that was in a board of supervisor or city council position?
Can't think of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Well, I understand that. It comes
Yeah.
with a huge pain and, a lot of, but there hasn't been someone that is like so passionately pro-housing like you guys on the board.
So I'll chime in on that. Probably.
Steve is running.
Yeah. So probably the place that you would have the least impact on what we do is at the Board of Supervisors. I know that sounds a bit cynical.
Well, right now the impact is not working.
Well, the impact that helps is when Carr or we do this and we go through the education and get involved and Neil in educating the elected officials on the housing end of it. That's where you have your most impact. And I've been doing this for a long time. And I can tell you on the Dias side is probably the most difficult place to be to help improve this. On this side of the table, the rules are different and you can go ahead and really help the education process through it. That's why this survey is so important. And I think at some level, you'd end up recusing yourself from half of the stuff,
You
particularly in
probably have
land
to.
use stuff.
Well,
You
yeah,
have to.
is that the concern? Is that why it's not happening?
I think the concern is to turn it back to Quentin's point. what we do for a living is 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
You guys grind, for
Right,
sure.
and that was one of the interesting conversations I had with Emily yesterday, because we were trying to negotiate this deal. We were doing it at 10 o'clock at night, all day Sunday. There was no. Okay, I'm sorry, it's 5
It's
o'clock.
5 o'clock on Friday,
It's
it's
5
happy
o'clock
hour.
on Friday, it's happy hour. That doesn't mean we don't do business at 5 o'clock.
I know
on
you
happy
do.
hour.
He's closed many a deal at the bar at Dairy Market.
No. It'd be Tavola as well. I think is our place of choice.
Have you closed the deal at the Tavola bar? Tavola bar?
I may or may not have done that.
Ray
Well,
Cadell has some comments for Yona.
please.
Oh, Ray.
We love Ray Cadell on this program.
Thanks
and
for chiming in, Ray.
Ray Cadell, thank you for chiming in. He's talking about in fact, he's talking about a number of things. First, he says it's nice to have the kind of historical perspective on interest rates like brokers do, like you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
There was an animal called the graduated payment mortgage that made sales possible but painful. He's talking about a financing vehicle. And then he talks about being a real estate agent. Ray Cadell says this: it's not a very physically demanding business. Don't forget, agents of all ages that keep up with the business, technology, education, and training can still do well. And don't forget, we have the book of business referrals, second and even third generation buyers that we can go after. So that's from Ray Cadell. Neil Williamson adds to Keith, as of Wednesday, 112 people had taken the survey. He says, density that is possible is not reality. He's basically talking about if we do go after the density in the 5% of Albemarle County, it's not reality.
We've talked about this.
This has been cherry-picked already.
Well, you have to really take a look at this is my world. I kind of understand development, and particularly on the land side. And, is the water and sewer there? Is the topographical layout? What kind of other utilities that you have, so forth and so on in there. So I've actually, in my response, I responded to them in that, because you could type in what your thoughts are.
Well, so what's your take of that? There's another 25% we can increase the population within the 5% designated growth area. You think that's no way, Jose?
I don't think no way, Jose, but I think it'd be awfully difficult to do.
So let's suppose you start a new show
Okay,
and nobody watches.
okay.
Whose fault is that?
Mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to sit there and say, this 5% isn't even full yet, we don't need to make more, it's a bad show. Nobody wants to watch it. So they have to either change where the 5% is, they've got to change the rules on how you develop, or they've got to grow the area.
So,
Because it's not for a lack of demand.
so
100% true. So Albemarle County's population as of 2020, and I'll throw it back to you, Jonah. You jump in here. As of 2020, the population's 108,000 people. So what they're saying, leadership Albemarle County, is we can increase the population
5%.
25% with the designated growth area, which is only 5% of Albemarle. So they're saying that they can raise the population. I'm having to do some quick math. You're better at this than me.
25,000.
About 26, 27,000 people. You don't buy that?
well,
I think the biggest hurdle that we have, and that goes back to housing availability, is the true case that everything is so heavily governmentally regulated that I think trying to go ahead and really put a shovel in the ground, from the time you put a shovel in the ground until you have a home built or have an opportunity for somebody to have a new home, I think that is the lag of time that will really determine if there's really 26,000 more people coming in, and over what period of time. Because I think the biggest struggle that you have experienced, and
we've experienced, it impacted
is truly getting a project approved these
Time.
days. Time is the time, and the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of consequences and follow-ups and things to consider. But wanted to kind of bring this back to one thought that you have brought up, and that is any of the new agents coming into the market. This is not a 9-to-5 job. This isn't. You are an independent contractor, and you're building your own business. So for folks to, and I did the same thing when I graduated from the real estate academy. I said, "Oh my God, the world's waiting for me." Yes, here I am. I have a license. Let's go do this. Well, you cannot be a secret agent. You got to be out there. You have to find your path that is I would say, the most fruitful and the most effective to build relationships. And I think that goes along with anything that we're talking about as far as government, being on the board of supervisors. It comes down to building relationships and making sure that we are knowledgeable and have the right information to convey to the people that not only we are talking with, but the people we are training, right? So if a new agent comes in, I can honestly tell you, I still don't know enough about what's going on.
So-
And it needs to be kind of nurtured and brought along in a way that we need to go ahead and make sure that they understand that.
100% right. And it's an interesting thing you brought up. Is this is a business? Each agent is an individual business, and I think some agents get surprised by that.
Yeah.
That they actually have to run their own business, and it'll be surprised how many agents don't even have a simple business plan on how they want to do
Well,
that.
you talked about how many agents aren't even LLC with their business.
Yeah,
How they're running sole proprietorships, which is extremely risky.
Well, but the thing is when you first, this is step by step that you try to go ahead and navigate through, right? So there's a lot of different things that we hope that somebody would do as an independent business owner, i.e. get your tax ID number, get an accountant, try to go ahead and have whatever legal papers you have an attorney take a look at that. So this is sort of the gradual step to developing your business, and at the same time have a business plan. Yeah.
A lot of comments coming in. Jump in here.
Isn't she good?
Oh, she's fantastic. I mean,
Oh,
she's a fantastic supervising broker.
And
I run through fire for Yona.
a human.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Can
it's-
we do that on camera?
Well, we can. We can say the S word. We can do that.
The S word.
Yeah,
and we are risking a mustache in this
Oh,
thing.
careful,
Well,
guys.
one of the
Don't get
things that I
hurt.
love about Yona is she's the same person every day. You're consistent.
Thank you.
And that is what
work in progress. I'll
What
tell you
people
that.
want from their people in their lives is the same person every day that they're interacting with. 250 new units on Rio were recommended for approval, but not without hand-wringing. Neil shares the link to the Free Enterprise Forum. Grayson has this comment, and he says, how can a survey be championed by people that don't live here that want more housing? And I think that's one of the reasons we're getting the survey out there.
Correct, and the survey, you don't have to live in the county to
Right.
take the survey. So part of what this is trying to address is that frequently people that are not represented at zoning and whatever that disaster of community, whatever committees that they have, is the people that want to live there and can't. And so the point of the survey is Albemarle has a huge impact on an area wider than just Albemarle. And so there is hope that many county residents will participate, but there's opportunity for those adjacent to the county to participate as well.
Well, as far as housing goes, it's kind of the heartbeat, right? Albemarle County. It's where the most volume goes. It's where the most buying and stuff. But what happens in and for those who watch and listen to the show, they know I belong to and chair some regional bodies. We're at this point where regional matters. What happens in Fulvana affects Albemarle. What happens in Albemarle affects Fulvana. What happens in Charlottesville affects Albemarle County. We're all kind of interconnected in this big soup. But I didn't hear the question from Grayson a comment from Grayson because I may have misunderstood.
Well, it's Quit answered it well.
Got it.
And he basically said, Grayson's basically like saying, how can people fill out a survey when they don't live here and know not to fill out the survey, the champion housing? And what we're saying is, here's the survey, get it out there, get your voice heard,
That's
even
what
if
I'm
you're not a homeowner.
I
That's why the survey exists.
I have to admit, Albemarle County, frankly, has done a horrible job of promoting this. And
There's been 100 and some,
out there, and hopefully we'll get a lot more than that. But even if they were exclusive to Albemarle County, and it's like 1%, right? Took the survey, but there's some questions in that survey. One of them is about expanding the 5% growth area, and I think it's a good step forward that they're trying to get information out. But again, if they're making decisions on 1% or less than 1%, that's not helpful.
Right now, we're at less than half a point. Less than 0.5% have taken this survey in Albemarle County.
Well, maybe they need to resend it again and
Well,
market it differently, or
The deadline is Sunday.
Yeah,
Okay.
the deadline is
Sunday.
Sunday,
Well,
this
because-
Sunday for this survey.
So
got
please
still
take
2
it.
more days.
It
Yeah.
takes 15 minutes. I did it this morning, and have your voice heard.
So let's talk about this. What is something that we can do as a collective to try to expand, besides filling out surveys like this, the growth area to get more housing for all, because we're all YIMBYs here. We all want housing for everyone. We know that's not the mindset shared by everybody. Stacy has this comment in the feed. She watches the show often. She's openly said she's tried to buy a house over the last year with her family and has struck out. And she said, have we thought maybe the municipality does not want to grow the growth area and they just want to tax current rooftops, which would make infrastructure management perhaps more manageable for the jurisdiction?
I'll tackle that
And she's
one.
pro-housing. She wants a house.
I got it. I'll tackle that one. Yes, depend on the jurisdiction. Certain elected officials don't, certain elected officials do. But I think collectively, if you really attend the meetings, I think honestly they wish to try to correct this housing shortage crisis that we have, or this missing middle that we have in it. So I think they do that. But each jurisdiction's a little bit differently, right? Fluvanna County, not so much right now at the elected official level. If you were trying to get a housing project approved, and I'm just going to say it in Fluvanna County, it's probably not going to happen.
Go ahead, Quentin.
Yeah, Stacy, I think we have to start getting real about what's going on with housing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this misnomer that we can keep things the same, and we cannot. There was just a study completed recently by an organization called Up for Growth. They're a nonprofit that promotes higher density, more affordable housing, and they looked at housing shortage pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic and how much of a shortage there was. And if you look at the DMV area, 2 hours north of us, they are short 156,000 houses plus. If you look at just Richmond, they're short 12,500 houses. So the last 2 years, we talked a lot about people selling their Northern Virginia house, buying a house down here for cash and outbidding people because of the pandemic and because they wanted to move. And that was true. What's also true is people are moving further and further out from the metros where they work because they have no option. So the belief that Albemarle can make a choice about Albemarle and not be affected by outside sources is something city councilors, municipalities have to get over. And if we're going to care for the constituents, if we're going to take care of the people in the city and the county and have space for the people that already live here, there has to be space for the people that can't live in Richmond, for the people that can't live in the DMV, who now can remotely work, and who need to move, and that means we have to make it easier and faster for houses to go up and keys to go indoors.
Damn good take right there.
Absolutely.
Excellent take. A lot is coming in
I
right
think there's
now.
a sizzle reel there.
That was fantastic. A lot is coming in right now. So this is a text message from the talented and successful Johnny Pritzloff for the panel. So he says, this is for the panel. I'm going to read this directly from Johnny. So if the demand is there, then the last 5% cannot be developed because of topography, zoning, land basis, and construction costs. All of those are addressed if the development area is expanded.
I've offered Johnny 100 times. Now it's 101 times. Come sit down and
Johnny
talk
would
to
be
him.
great on the show.
He would
Johnny
be
watches
great.
the show. He's
He
very
do-
in tune with stuff.
He doesn't think he's connected enough. He
Oh,
is.
Johnny, come
without
on.
a doubt.
Johnny is one of the most connected guys. Super busy guy.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come here. Please, please. I might have to drag him in.
What do you make of this take right there?
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. Like, look, to Yona's point, red tape. We talk about this all the time. Turning red tape into green tape, right? We've quoted this 100 times. A new construction, 25% of new construction homes are due to regulatory requirements. Look, regulations are good, right? There's certain reasons they're there on that end of it, but I feel like we've taken it to the extreme. Even if we reduce that to 50%, that cuts like $50,000 out of the cost of a home, or at a typical $400,000 new construction home. And the builders will convey that. If it costs them $50,000 less, they'll sell the homes for $350,000 or whatever, $50,000 less. But yeah, we just need to get these projects to come through. Colonial Circle out in Fluvanna County, 125 apartments going in there, 50 servicing, providing homes for 50 to 60% of the area median income, between 1 and 3 bedrooms on that end of it. We've just got the project just got the site plan approved. 7 years. It's been in the making for 7 years. Been trying to do that. And these two folks sitting on this end of the table went through this. And 7 years. And
He's talking Yona and Keith, for those that are listening.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
apologize. When we did a couple of projects, it took us 7 years to get it going. The market changed. 7
With
years
ex-
is too long. It should not take that
With
long.
the exception of the acres. The acres
Well,
was.
the acres we did in
In
3
Virginia.
months. We
You're
did
talking
three
about
months.
neighborhood in Lake Monticello.
Yeah, the
He
acres.
developed, the Smiths developed
We
a large
developed
portion of
that
Lake
area.
Monticello.
In
Well,
Cunningham.
not a lot, just 150 acres out of 4,500 acres, but
Good amount.
that's
A
not
lot.
large.
Yeah, you guys, you
But
crafted the vision of the lake.
Yeah, we built quite a few homes there, about
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of them.
Respect,
Yeah.
tremendous respect.
But that project was done in 97, right? And
95, 90, 96,
by the time I put it,
97.
we put it under contract, rezoned it, had the site plan, and put a bulldozer on the job site. Took 3 months.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I remember the first parade home that we had in there, downpouring rain. Oh my
It was
God.
raining?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, the hot dog stands, that was fun.
yeah, the hot dogs.
What was it like with that first home that you guys finished? What was the feelings like?
I-
And what year was that?
That was
So
97.
this was 97. So to put it in perspective about the market, we were selling lots at 50 grand when you could buy lots at Lake Monticello for 5. And we were selling them because we had the right vision. So I guess,
Well, because you were full service with that 50K, right?
no, we were still building custom homes in Lake Monticello for people that were buying homes for $5,000 worth of $50,000. But it took a little salesmanship to do that. And it's part of why I am actually really excited about the future of what we all do here at this table. The market's always going to go up. It might go up and down, but
How about this? I'm going to read you 2 paragraphs from an article that came out this week from Virginia Mercury. And this article quotes Hamilton Lombard, who I play squash with. He's a demographer with the Weldon Cooper Center at the University of Virginia. 2 paragraphs I'll read to you. The data presented Wednesday to lawmakers on the Virginia Housing Commission reflects trends that are likely to have a major impact on some of the state's biggest metro areas, according to Virginia Realtors Association. While statewide home sales have slowed amid rising interest rates, limited inventory means that prices haven't dropped to match the decline in demand. One more paragraph. High prices and price increases are the worst in Northern Virginia, where home costs rose more between 2000 and 2019 than any other metro area on the East Coast, according to Hamilton Lombard of the Weldon Cooper Center at the University of Virginia. In 2019, for example, both Arlington and Fairfax had higher median home prices than any individual East Coast county other than Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Wow. Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. Think about that, Northern Virginia,
Not surprised.
right?
Not surprised. No.
so to go back to Johnny's comment,
And that's pre-pandemic.
That was
That is
pre-pandemic. It's gotten worse.
Pre-pandemic knowledge. This is my point.
That's
exactly.
your point. It's worse.
Yeah.
Well said, Yona. I should have emphasized that. She's
it's
exactly right.
pre-pandemic.
In the 2 years since this data was released, it's exponentially worse.
so maybe we need a little bit of missing middle. Maybe you think we might need a little bit more inventory to go ahead and do this. Back to Johnny's point Johnny Pisloff's point with the 5% on the end of it. There's so much. Look, what I think the comments that certain elected officials are making on that, what they're missing on trying to do this is, first of all, you got to find a ready, willing, and able seller to sell the piece of property. It's got to be sold at the price that makes the numbers work. And oh,
yeah.
by the way, you got to go through the rezoning process through that end of it. So, just to think all of a sudden magically, because we physically have this math left in there, poof, we're going to have 25,000 new homes. It's not going to happen, guys. It's going to, first you got to require, this is Neil Williamson's quote. It all starts with a ready, willing, and able seller, right? You've got to have somebody ready, willing, and able to sell the right parcel in the right location with the right features and the right conditions in there to go ahead and do that. So, look, the reality of it is, and we've had this conversation with Diantha McKeel, and I think her thinking is changing a little bit.
Well, you should get her back on the show.
Yeah, we will.
Last time she mentioned on the show, she
Yep.
said the 5% developmental area is not at capacity. I
So-
will not vote to expand the 5%.
Yeah, so I'm strategically waiting for this survey to get done before I invite.
Yeah.
Do we
folks
feel
back.
we have more leverage when the survey's finished on Sunday than we did when she was on previously?
Probably not, because I think it's going to be split down the middle.
Yeah. That's what I think. What do you
So,
think, QB?
When you started developing in
18 something, what year was that?
1819,
1819.
1819,
Along with Tim McGraw and
log
Fairmont.
homes, right? Log
Yeah,
homes.
Yeah.
When you started developing in the lake, how much business was around the lake?
How
Oh,
many
the-
businesses were around?
Yeah.
it?
The,
Oh,
infrastructure was Turkey's Egg. The infrastructure was
No, we bought that piece of property knowing that Food Lion was getting developed. It's the reason I bought it.
Okay.
Is buying that. So Food Lion was not built when we acquired
When you first
it.
acquired the land. So I think one of the things that gets lost because we get so focused in on housing inventory is what really powers an economy is a strong middle class. To have a strong middle class, you have to have housing that is affordable to middle class. When you create that housing, you create whole new opportunities for small businesses,
Sure.
for enterprise to come in, jobs spring up. And if you want to be pro-business, if you're an elected official that's being pro-business, the most pro-business thing you can do is create a strong middle class, and they need a place to live. And they've got to have a home to buy. And so anything we can do that will carve through all the things that are stopping it is really good for us as a city, as a county, and I don't care which county we're talking
And
about.
the middle class has never been more pinched than it is right now.
And
It
the middle
is.
class has never been more
It is.
pinched. And one of the big things that you don't see in CPI, because it doesn't track it, is housing.
So if we can get
Which is
John,
ridiculous.
I don't make the rules.
Right, but don't you think?
I
Our number one bill each
hold
month,
on, I thought you were like the benevolent dictator. You get to make rules.
he makes a lot of rules.
told you, nobody listens to me.
Jim Duncan, hello, welcome to the show.
Many
Jim
edicts.
Jim's on
Yeah, I
Facebook.
tagged him
Nobody
on
follows
Twitter.
him.
On Twitter. Good.
That's
thank
how we
you,
got
Jim.
him in the mix.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Jim.
Thank you, Jim, for putting out this on your realcrozetvirginia.com.
That's why I tagged on Twitter.
Yeah. So
Good guy to follow.
Thank you very much for getting that stuff out there and motivating me along with Quentin to get on the bike.
So I think the challenge that you really have is, in order to create that vision, you really have to have a 10-year vision when you see something, trying to develop something. Because what you just said actually reminded me of so when we developed the acres, you're 100% right, there was no infrastructure around other than a gas station down the road.
There was a gas station by the main gate. That was
Yeah.
it.
So trying to go ahead and really get that vision out also, I think is part of it. And expecting something to happen overnight is just absolutely, I think is unrealistic, to be honest with you.
So-
Especially
who
these.
has- throw this to you, and I'm learning from you guys. Who has the runway or the burn rate to accommodate a 10-year vision plan that could change?
Yeah.
Like in a good example, and we love Stanley Martin. Stanley Martin, they watch the show often.
They're one of our wonderful sponsors.
Fantastic partner.
But you're 100% right. It's
Like,
the
they
end.
changed their strategy. Say in the neighborhood I live in eastern Albemarle County, it went from 4,000 or 5,000 square foot homes to 2,800 square foot
Yeah,
homes,
to downsize it, yeah.
2,700 square foot homes.
Well,
And that's because the market changed.
Well, they're super smart. They follow the market. They know where the market's going and doing all this stuff. I think the point you're trying to make is to have that kind of staying power, you're going to have a little
A
capital.
lot of money.
You do.
Lot of capital
It
to
costs
do
you
it.
money
A
to
lot of
hold
I
on.
mean, what is it? Stanley, Ryan, probably Southern.
Well, Ryan actually doesn't develop. It acquires finished
Okay,
lots.
okay.
Finished lots.
Not many in this area,
Yeah,
right?
Stanley Martin is a
Unique animal.
well, that I think Stanley Martin and Southern Development are really the two unique animals here.
Because they're
that-
vertically integrated.
They vertically and they develop and they build on it. There's not that many. There may be one other that is escaping me at the moment, but clearly what makes Stanley Martin unique is they do both sides of the house, which is what we used to do, right? We used to acquire, develop, and build. When you're a small entity and the great time of Pleasant happens,
Well, the thing is also, I think, to realize that we
Unpleasantness
didn't
happens.
get into this overnight. So this has been an ongoing struggle, I think, for at least 10, 11, 12 years, and we're not going to get out of it. But I think the conversation needs to continue. We need to, I mean, as passionate as these two are, I think these.
are we passionate?
Yeah.
You guys are passionate.
Very, very passionate voice on that.
It's
I think.
contagious.
And the more education that
Strong
you can.
coffee.
Yes, me too. The more education,
cough
the
syrup?
more information that you can provide, and the more knowledgeable you are. And I think it starts with us also on the independent business owner side, not just realtor, just a business owner itself. I think you can make an
So
impact.
How about we do this? Can a candidate Because clearly there's something that's missing here. Can a candidate be pro small business, run on a platform that's pro business, and not be pro development area expansion and pro housing? Are they not oxymorons?
Well,
if you say you're pro business and not pro housing.
I'm actually okay with saying this because Chris Fairchild's a friend of mine. He's in that category, right?
He's pro business.
He's pro business, but
anti-density.
he doesn't. Anti is a strong word.
I would say that's a
but
little strong.
it's
Opposed to density?
opposed to density
Is that fair?
It's a fair thing. So along that conversation,
Is that fair? Can you be both?
You need to ask him that. I don't know
I'm sorry.
because-
What was the question?
Can someone legitimately be pro-business as a candidate in any jurisdiction and not pro-housing? Are they not the same?
But he was. He is.
Well, you said he was pro-business and not necessarily pro-density.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I guess that could happen. I mean, there are folks like Ned Galloway that is pro-business and pro-missing middle and all that stuff. The point that I wanted to get out here, and maybe it's a little bit to Quentin's point here, is that I have a client that wants to put a 100-person employee business, high-tech business, in Zion's Crossroads, which they're not going. I mean, that we were looking at it. They're not doing that. They're moving to a different part of the state because there's no place to house their employees.
Yeah.
On that end of it, right? So this is not who's this? Who can? This is not a binary decision. Is that the right term? Did I use the right term? This is not. Did I do the right term?
I don't know. I'm waiting to hear the rest of your
It's not a one-sided.
Odds are against you.
The odds are against me. Well, it's because of me.
I think where he's going for, it's not a zero-sum game.
That's what I was
That's what
looking
he's
for.
looking
It's not
for.
a
Spent a lot of
zero-sum
time.
game.
It's not
You
a
can't-
zero-sum game, but
It's a chicken and egg thing. You got to have one to have the other.
He's basically saying that you can, what would be a good definition of this? A situation in which one person or group can win something only by causing another person or group to lose. It's not that.
No, that's not where I was going. The bottom line is you can't say, I want to have all these high-tech, eco-friendly, high-paying
STEM businesses.
STEM businesses, and not have a place for folks to live,
Thank you.
right? On that end of it. It does not work that way.
What are your thoughts on that, QB?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that they are intrinsically linked.
But
And I think we have to start becoming real about the fact that all real estate is local, but the market is not, and the population is not.
Correct.
And they're going to move where they want to move, and we really need to create a space, or we're going to end up shooting ourselves in the foot as municipalities, because we're not.
taxes are going to go up.
Taxes are going to go up.
Appreciate it.
You know, if they don't want density because that's all that's left in the 5% that they so graciously offered for development, then make a different spot. You know, pick a different space where you can have density and it's
So-
not in the middle of everybody else.
I'm trying to put a round table together with one pro YIMBY and one pro NIMBY.
Who would go on the record as a NIMBY?
As a what? A YIMBY?
As a NIMBY?
As a NIMBY? Oh, you'll be
It
surprised.
happens all the time.
They're super passionate.
On
Think
a
of-
show like this?
Oh, well,
Oh, do you remember?
that's been the struggle.
A soundbite is different than a show like this.
Because
when they're on a show like this, it's really going to show.
Well,
And I
it's-
guess my point
it's
is
not a soundbite. Apologize. Go ahead.
we can let people be NIMBYs if we open up different land to be developed on. They can keep their neighborhood how it is. If there's a different spot to put housing, that we let happen.
Yeah. So to soundbite and also Facebook posts. I got into a Facebook debate, which I very rarely do. That's a lose-lose scenario.
I've been there.
But this, I know, and I was channeling my inner Jerry Miller when I was doing it.
Just tough to walk away, but that's the best solution.
Yeah.
Or just have the conversation in person. So much is lost through these keyboards.
It was factually incorrect, and I was trying to factually correct it.
You
and-
cannot do this
And I
on-
lost.
you cannot do this
And
on
I lost.
Facebook, no.
So much so, but I invited this individual to come on here, and they would not. So there's a difference, as you said, between doing
Because
it.
it's just long-form content.
Well, you gotta have your
Yeah,
trash
for
together.
an hour and change. Right.
So talk about long form. We just to get this out there to everybody, we've got about 19 minutes before we have a hard stop because we have a business meeting collectively we have to do. But I kind of wanted to throw a little bit of a take the other side. We were talking about this NIMBY and YIMBYism on the end of it because we want to be considerate to their feelings and their needs and
About
their
9
wants
minutes.
on their want. Well, in order for us to achieve everything, we have to understand where they're coming from, so we can help them navigate that. So
Also for them to understand where we are coming from. So I think this has to be,
that's the problem.
so just be tolerant and open-minded enough to go ahead and hear somebody else's voice and opinion. Not that we're going to change everything overnight, but that there has to be a dialogue.
It's really what it is a branding and marketing problem. Is because we don't have that story that tugs on the heartstrings of a mom or a family that can't live here. And the reason we don't have that story to leverage in an advertising campaign is because we don't know that family because they're not living here right now. And the story or the charge is being led by a lot of folk, us here at this table, in part, and folks at this table are like, these folks are pro-housing, right? They work in real estate, they're small business owners, they own houses themselves. It would be great if the pro-housing charge was led by somebody that was like a single mom, or someone that was trying to live here that can't. And it would really humanize and localize and personalize the efforts.
But she's busy
She's working.
Working all kinds of
Or
places.
can't live here.
Whatever. So it's interesting to go back to what we started on, the surprise. One of my big surprises in getting into this, I didn't realize I was in the education business. Because at the end of the day, real estate really is a process of educating and re-educating and educating into that. I didn't, when I got into this in '87, I didn't realize that I was going to turn into an educator on that end of it. That was my biggest surprise. So again, one of the things that I chair the regional, no, I don't chair anymore. Now Ned does. I'm the vice chair. I got off of that.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Mrs. Smith
Good
is
work.
I didn't get off of it, but I'm not the chair any longer, so I got to be careful when I say
think
it.
all of us are
Happy. Yay. But, that's one of the reasons why the Regional Housing Partnership was born. It brings all these 4 pillars together on that. And there are people in the room that have difference of opinions on the YIMBYs and NIMBYs on it, and we communicate and we have a conversation about it to get to a common place. This is not a win-lose scenario. One side has to win and one side has to lose. We just need to come together and get somewhere in the middle. It's what we do for a living, negotiate, come to the middle so everybody wins. Everybody's going, right, what is it? If everybody loses a little bit, it's a great deal.
Yeah,
Right?
if everyone leaves the table feeling a little stung, then it must have been a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I know you don't.
What do you like everybody leaving the table
It's a
feeling good?
win-win.
Yeah, because I don't believe it's a zero-sum game.
Put that in perspective. Give us a little more background.
Somebody needs to move, somebody needs a place to live, and there's totally ways to negotiate that.
Absolutely.
Where it respects
Both sides.
all sides, everybody gets what they need, and they walk away. I don't need somebody else to lose to feel like I've won.
So my reference, Quentin, was more about this YIMBY.
I agree.
NIMBY
And I
thing,
think-
not necessarily a
So
sale.
Irma Bombach,
Yep,
if you're old enough to remember
I'm
Irma
old enough
Bombach,
to remember
she
her.
talks about her hopes for her sons as they grow up and how she wants to raise them. She wants them to, always kiss their grandmother no matter who else is in the room, wear a jacket to church, maybe button up the top button on their shirt, look people in the eye when they talk to them, and decide,
Check, I'm good.
and also,
He's trying to show
to
your
lend
chest hair.
dignity to the things they believe in and respect to the things they do not. And I think I would love to see some of our conversations around these topics really embrace that, because I think the folks that we are calling NIMBYs, although I frequently disagree with them, have real heartfelt reasons that they're taking this stance.
Correct.
There may be some that are not, but oh well. And there's still a real need to address housing as it affects the economy, as it affects poverty, as it affects equity. And most of where we're at is because all of those things have just been rampant for times before us. I don't feel like any of us are to blame for a lot of this stuff, but we are who's here now, and we're responsible to fix it and to move that forward. So we don't need the single voice of one mother. We need the voices of lots and lots of citizens in and around the counties and in the cities, really pushing this forward, because if you keep pushing, there will be a solution.
So to Jerry's point, typically the NIMBYs are a little bit older, right? And they have the time on their hands.
They're retired.
To attend these meetings and sit behind a Facebook post or whatever it is. The YIMBYs typically tend to be a younger age, and they're busy working and so forth and so on. So that's where the disconnect is as far as time is concerned. But as Quentin, as you were speaking, we kind of had this YIMBY-NIMBY conversation with Tony O'Brien and Chris Fairchild in these two seats.
Board of Supervisors, Fluvanna County.
You know, to do that, and we're going to continue those conversations, because I think it's important that we get both voices at the table and try to Quentin's point, is to try to move forward and get us to a simple thing. But the simple math of the fact is, if we don't fix this, if we don't come up with this, housing is going to be more expensive, it's going to be more exclusive, and services are going to start hurting, right? So where is our bartender at Tavola going to live? And you know, we want to support our bartenders.
Oh, absolutely.
Very much, particularly the guys over there. We love them to death. But so where are they going to go? So what's going to happen, Quentin and Yona and Jerry, when he can't live or she can't live around here and we don't have a bartender?
Jennifer Klein has this comment.
Is that a real problem?
Oh, that's a very real problem. Frontline worker, service industry, police, teacher, fire, rescue cannot afford to live in the community they
Correct.
serve. Your community starts to lose its sense of self when the people on the front lines can't live in the community that they're serving. You need diversity from a demographic to create a true community. Jennifer Klein has this, and maybe Yona, you start with this. Guys, I love the shows that you do and the fact that you're standing up for the people that aren't here to stand up for themselves. One point that I think that is being missed, in the last 2 years and change, the market has gotten so out of control with cost of goods and interest rates and all the other things that you guys keep talking about, that even if we do get more housing, the last 2 years have made that housing just unaffordable for most of us to attain.
This is true, but until we start to move in a direction,
Until they go
it's
up.
just going to get worse.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that has really been proven to us is that these local economics are not a closed loop. There's lots of outside factors that affect us, and it's really not that we're designing our local economic infrastructure. We are creating the surfboard by which we're going to ride the waves of things that come from outside of our area. And so I understand the not in my backyard. It's already in our backyard. And what we're having to do now is choose how to best respond to it. And until there are more doors, rentals and houses for purchase, we can't begin to get on top of that wave.
It's supply and demand. It's that simple. Mrs. Smith.
I have really nothing else to add to that, and I would totally agree with that. And I think it is our job as business professionals to, and I can only emphasize that, to really go ahead and be as informed about it and as engaged in the process, because part of this is also fear. And how do you fight fear? You fight fear with information, education, and communication. And I think that's truly what I see our job to be. And we cannot solve this problem overnight. Let's say this again, we didn't get into this situation overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. But what we can do is, with good information and good outreach and engagement on all levels, I think we can at least try to make it a little bit of a difference and move the ball forward.
Well said. Multiple folks asking any problems with appraisals?
At the moment, no.
seen
But
it.
that's a Woody Fincham question,
Yeah,
and
that
we're
would
going
be-
to put a show together with him to
That would
tackle
be for the
Okay.
appraisers.
That question's come up twice. Quentin? Good? Keith?
I don't think I can add a single thing
Oh, they killed it.
after Yona said what she just said.
Yeah.
So I can't, and I do that. But thank you for being back.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing
for the
this.
conversation.
And
I love
Thanks for
having us on.
Absolutely.
I hope I did you proud on
You did.
Wednesday.
You always
on
do.
Wednesday.
Monday, sneak peek? Is that shameless?
I don't think
Well, look at
so.
the calendar.
Yeah, we need to rush here. We got a meeting to get to, but I'll look at the calendar and we'll fill folks in.
Absolutely. Keith Smith, Yona Smith, Quentin Beckham. Guys, this is Real Talk with Keith Smith. All the shows are archived on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Check the Partners tab and see the trusted brands in the real estate
Please.
game. The show is presented by Keller Williams Alliance, and Yes Realty Partners. You can count on these people. It's one of the things we're trying to do with the show, is show how much you can count on these people. Judah Wickhauer is our director. He does not get enough credit. My name is Jerry Miller. The I Love Seville show is up in 59 minutes. Thank you kindly for joining us. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you,
weekend,
guys.
everyone.
Judah, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Good job.
I don't think we ever even got to three things that surprised us.